Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
Welcome to the Strange and Beautiful Book Club. All right, we're back for part 2. Which I'm glad we took a break because I have more I want to say about what I was talking about with I love it when an author's willing to kill a character.
Let's go.
Which is often the value of a bit of a pause, is you get a minute to be like, oh yeah, I had more I wanted to say about that. So I'm glad we did it.
Thoughts were swirling. Things have settled.
I knew I had a thing that I was going for, but I hadn't quite narrowed down on the thing.
Like a crystal growing in a precipitating solution.
Correct. And it kind of felt to me like, so after years and years and years of just avoiding literally anything Dracula related because on principle, except for the podcast, because as historically everyone knows, I am not the largest Dracula story fan. I finally was so desperate for vampire content that I broke down and watched the 3-part Dracula series on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really fucking good. And I was not mad about it because I like when something surprises me and is good, but also like, why was it so good? But there was a part, one of the best things is the way they wrote the Dracula character. Like, perfection. That's what I want Dracula to be in every single adaptation. And he never is. He's always like, I'm a bad guy. And instead it's like, I'm an aristocrat who gets to...
Yeah, I think the only other example I've seen you really like is the Frank Langella Dracula.
Yeah, and it's the same thing where he's like, he's a sophisticated man who just also happens to be a brutal murderer. But there's a scene where he's talking to Jonathan. And he's like, be happy, you're dying. Death is your mountaintop. It gives your life perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It lets you look back on your life and see where you've been. And if you don't have death, you don't get that. And that's how I feel about when an author allows a character to actually die in a book. That was what I was getting at. Because there are definitely, I guess they call them romantasy. They used to be chick lit, whatever. The female-focused fantasy books, the thing that I tend to have an issue with, the current definition of female fantasy. I'm not looking at you, Ursula, or Mercedes Lackey, or any of those wonderful female fantasy authors of the past. I'm talking about the current trope-heavy, fully marketable romantasy books, is that I never for once believe they're going to kill a main character. And so, to me, that makes the character not feel real. If a character cannot die, not because they're immortal, but because they have so much, quote, plot armor, I can't connect to that character in any way. As soon as Eddie died, I wanted to go back and reread all of The Dark Tower so that I could fall in love with Eddie again, knowing I was going to lose him.
Yeah.
It made Eddie real.
Yeah.
Because Eddie's life meant something. He did a lot. And then when something happened, he really died. He was a real person. He could die. And that's what that felt like to me. And I was thinking that's probably why Harry Potter has such staying power for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Is she made, so I'm normally with Ursula K. Le Guin again, which is that
on Harry Potter.
It's derivative and ethically mean-spirited. But there is one part that I feel probably solidified it as like, this is my series.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when Sirius Black dies.
Yep.
Because up until then, it is just a children's book. It's a children's series. It was in elementary fiction. It was not a young adult series. It was just, your run-of-the-mill magic school book series.
Kid goes to magic school.
And then he finds his surrogate father Congratulations. Somebody that is willing to be a parent figure for him. And then that guy dies.
Yeah.
And if you are...
After they form a very strong bond.
Yeah. And if you're a child reading that, it's like, oh my God, this world is real. It makes the world feel real. Yeah. And so it makes the world feel real to a lot of people. And that's how I felt about this book. That's how I feel about Stephen King in general. Stephen King will kill a bitch. He doesn't care. But in particular, these are his people.
All things serve the beam.
These are his people. This is his series. He's been writing this since 1970.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that part where they're like, Stephen King is not the water, he's the pipe. And then they're like, is he though? And it was just it was impactful because they were not invulnerable.
Right.
Because they could die. And also Roland, even though we all know Roland's never going to die in the book, the lack of him dying when you fully know he could die is also impactful. That he continues on through everything that happens, even though he doesn't want to. Like after Jake dies, he's done.
Right. And the death, but not for you, gunslinger.
Yeah.
Ends up being a curse. I think it was always a curse.
It was always a curse, but
we're starting to, we as the readers are now starting to feel what that curse is.
Right. Well, at the beginning, it feels like, oh, you're always going to survive. And then later you're like, oh, crap. You're always going to be the one that's left behind. You're always going to be the
last man standing.
Yeah. And that may feel like a blessing, but after a while, it's not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives the character of Roland and the relationship of Roland and Jake so much impact because in the very first book, Roland kills Jake.
Right.
He chooses the Dark Tower over Jake because the man in black is right there. He can't have both. Although now knowing what we know about Randall Flagg, he's not infallible. He probably could have had both, but it's fine. He believes him, so he drops Jake. And Jake's like, you son of a bitch, you dropped me. And then he wants him back. And we go through all of that work to bring him back.
And by the end of it, he's willing to give up the tower for Jake.
Right. Exactly. That's where I was going, is that in that moment when he's like, I'll do it. I'm the one. I'll die for Jake.
Yeah.
It means something.
Right. Because we've seen how deeply rooted his quest for the tower is.
Yeah.
And all the things that he's sacrificed. And to say, all the things that I've sacrificed for the tower, could actually be, I sacrificed all of these things so that in the end I could save Jake.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
It matters. Like, think about the books. I know there's a joke kind of online about people wanting books that destroy them. Like, I want to be sad.
Well, okay. Like I was just telling you this morning about neurodivergent people.
Yeah.
And hot sauce.
Okay.
And
I'm with you.
And so I was reading an article. Summary. I didn't read the actual white paper, the published paper, but it was summarizing this paper that basically said they think some neurodivergent people really like hot sauce because the pain that you experience when you're eating something really, really like capsaicin spicy generates a dopamine
spike. Yeah.
Spike was the word. And that dopamine spike then helps them regulate their mental state.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of ADHD people like hot sauce.
Yeah.
Some people like books that they want books that will destroy them.
You want to feel it.
Yeah.
I want to feel a book. I want to be in the book. I want to feel it sometimes. When I don't want to feel a book, I know what books to choose. And I like to have reliable authors that I know I can pick this book up and you're going to destroy me and I'm going to love every single fucking minute of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot there. I think there's an important element of storytelling that you lose when you give me a story that you tell me has real stakes and then you don't have real stakes in it. So that's probably one of my main issues with a lot of...
What do you think about a distinction between a writer and a storyteller?
Okay. So writing would be like...
Sarah J. Maas is a writer.
Right. You have the
But Stephen King is a storyteller.
I get where you're going with this. That like writer is the technical skill. I can compose a story that has a beginning, a middle, and
And you
end.
can be both.
I can buy Save the Cat.
Like in intelligence and rationality.
Right.
One is required for the other,
Or
but only
what
like
is it?
30%.
Reason. No, what is it? Chaos and the two elements that he writes about.
Chaos and purpose.
Purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, writing is like the technical skill. Like you can be a carpenter. You can know how to put a joint together. You can know how to put in a screw so the wood won't split. You can know how to use glue and when to use a biscuit and when to use whatever. You can know what tool you need for the job. You can get the job done and you can build a table.
Technician versus engineer.
Can you make a piece of art? Can you create a table that is so meaningful and beautiful that people will pass it down to their children?
Mm-hmm.
Those are two different skill sets. So I think that's where you're getting with the writer and storyteller.
There's the skill and the craft.
Right. And I think you can tell a good story I think you can have good fluffy stories. I like a lot of, I read My Vampire
It
Plus
doesn't have to be dark.
Right. It doesn't have to be dark. That's not the distinction. And I don't like the literary. Is this high literature or is this sci-fi or what the fuck ever? Like, we don't subscribe to that bullshit here. Is it the kind of story that that readers can connect to?
Yeah.
Then great. I would argue for a lot of people, like Sarah J. Maas is an author that they can connect to. It's not the type of author I can connect to. And that doesn't make it good or bad. That doesn't, no quality judgment, but it doesn't have the elements that for me make it worthwhile. And I think that comes down to, what is the one we talked about? Not taste, because taste sounds like a terrible way of describing it, but your sensibility. It's like disgust sensitivity. It's like the type of people that can see the dirt and the type of people that can't. And that doesn't make one person bad or another. It just makes my sensibilities different than your sensibilities. I can walk into the kitchen and see all the dirty dishes. You can walk into the kitchen and see no dirty dishes. And that doesn't mean that one of us is a bad person, one of us is not. It just means that my experience of the world is different than yours.
Yeah.
And I need a character to be real. And I need them to be real by knowing that the author's willing to kill them. That's why I like Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson will kill a character.
Yep.
And every time he does,
R.I.P. all the characters that Brandon Sanderson has killed
and
off.
it makes like the end of Oathbringer fucking meaningful because you don't know when the character walks into the situation that he walks to in the end of Oathbringer. You don't know what's going to happen because bad stuff can happen to good people in his world. I know Joe Abercrombie will kill people. I know Jay Kristoff will kill people. I know the authors that will believably be like, okay, it's time. It's happening. Yeah. Ursula K. Le Guin, she'll kill people.
And it's not even always killing a character.
No.
Sometimes they get to go
it's letting
off
them
and
leave.
do their own thing.
Yeah.
Like Susanna leaving Roland.
Right.
Of her own volition.
Yeah.
Because she knows this whole thing, it's between Roland and the tower. And anyone who keeps continuing with Roland isn't going to make it.
Yeah.
Nobody else gets to go in the tower.
Yeah.
So she leaves. And so sometimes a character can leave the main thread of the story.
Yeah.
And they get to do their own thing. Sometimes they die. Sometimes they're done with the journey. They're done with the hero's quest, whatever. And some authors can let a character go.
Yeah.
And other authors, that character's going to be back probably soon at a crucial moment.
Right.
As a surprise, kind of Deus Ex Machina. A more subtle Deus Ex Machina.
Right. Oh, more subtle, which there's no subtle Deus Ex Machina. That's what he wrote himself into the book.
Right.
So I think that's just where I wanted to go with it, which is that's why I enjoy, that's why I think this was one of my favorite books in the series, is because everyone felt so real
Yeah.
And Jake doesn't even die with Roland. He dies while Roland is busy with Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
And it destroys Roland. And Stephen King actually has to talk him through it. He goes, she needs you. Like, you have to go back because they left Susanna behind.
Mm-hmm.
And you need her. Leave me alone now. Save your hate for those who deserve it more. I didn't make your Ka any more than I made Gan or the world, and we both know it. Put your foolishness behind you and your grief and do as you would have me do. Finish the job.
Mm-hmm.
And so Roland then has to bury Jake. And I was like, we were sitting on the front porch and you were like, oh, is it that part? Because you looked over and I was like, like crying about Jake.
Yeah.
Oh my God. May his life on this earth and the pain of his passing become as a dream to his waking soul, and let his eyes fall upon every lovely sight. Let him find the friends that were lost to him, and let everyone whose name he calls call his in return. I was like,
The
okay.
eulogy.
Oh, this is Jake who lived well, loved his own, and died as Ka would have it. Every man owes a death. This is Jake. Give him peace. And I was like, I can't do this right now. I mean, what better definition of heaven, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just be at peace, be with your friends, and let everyone that you know you in return.
Yep.
And then he has to leave. He has to leave. He can't stay because he's in the Keystone world. He's got to get back to Susanna.
He has a deadline to get. Well, he also has to get to the tech corporation.
Yeah. And he tells the lady to plant a rose on his grave.
Yep.
And then poor Oi is so sad. Oi is the saddest part because he lost his best. He lost, like, his person.
Yeah. His companion.
Yeah. And then Susanna is like, oh, wait a minute. Did Jake die? Because she's back by herself. God remained dead.
Buried.
God remained deaf to her prayer. Jake remained dead, and the Dark Tower remained standing. Oh, that part was really hard. And then we go off on like the second half of the book, which is like a plucky adventure story between Susanna and Roland.
Yep.
Not plucky necessarily, but it was just, this book was so narratively, it shouldn't work. Because it's so choppy.
Yeah.
That's why you can't remember, because it feels like a book and then another book and then another book and then another book. It just feels like a lot of endings, like walking through the doorway and not knowing how you got there.
Mm-hmm.
Because he gets back and Susanna is waiting for him. And I think in Fedek.
Yeah, Susanna's waiting in FedEx. She buried Eddie there, and then she was waiting for Roland to get back.
Well, no, that was
oh wait,
Santo Al Ghul Blue Heaven.
She took the train to FedEx.
to FedEx, and she took it with the people, like the last of the people, Ted Brannigan and Dinky, and Shimi dies on the way. Oh yeah, bye Shimi, because he steps on that piece of glass, and they're like, little did he know that his death was on the tip of it or whatever, and then they're like, oh yeah, he died, which is just to get him out so he can't teleport anybody anywhere. Right,
because he was OP.
Yeah, he was too OP. We had to nerf him. So we just killed him. Another death to add to the tally for this book.
Yeah.
And then they spend some time in Fedek, just a short while, but it's like an abandoned ghost town. It's a Wild West town.
Yeah.
And there's no way to bundle up against the cold. And it's just like okay. And it's Susanna's riding into town. And they're like, okay, there's 2 passenger trains on the back of her train, but there used to be 10, and that's a story I'm going to let her tell. And then she's like, oh, yeah, they fell off a bridge. And I was like, why even include that, except that they can't go back?
I wonder if there was some scenes that got deleted.
I don't know, maybe. Release the director's cut. He released a director's cut of The Stand. I feel like it would be totally within his purview as an author to release the director's cut of The Dark Tower.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just so you know he can't go back. They can't go back.
Yeah.
The train tracks are gone. No one can ever go back that way ever again.
Right.
But the beam, they saved the world already. That's what gets me. It's
right.
like
they stopped the
saved
breakers
the world halfway through
and
the
the
book.
beams automatically start healing themselves.
Yeah, the beam's like, well, not only will I get better now, but I can make the other beams better again too. So I can restart the worlds around the Dark Tower. So like, congratulations, you saved the world, you saved the tower already. You're welcome. Good job. Okay. And then we still have to do the rest of it, because then they set off on this adventure and they're traveling for a while, and it's just Susanna complaining about the cold, which this was the part where I was like, oh, okay. This slowed down a lot because a lot was happening. There was time. For once in the Dark Tower, there was like a time pressure. Well, there was in the drawing of the three because Roland was dying of an infection.
Right.
But since then, it's just been a very... Things are happening. Oh, yeah, I guess there kind of was in Wolves of the Kala because we knew the wolves were coming.
Right. But even then, they still had like a month or longer to prepare.
Yeah. And by the middle of this book, all time context is gone. Like they've already saved the world. They're not in a rush.
Right. The beam is healing.
Yeah.
So time is healing.
So it's literally just them traveling to the Dark Tower because that's what they've always done, which Susanna is fucking over it. And I love that for her. She's like, why am I even doing this anymore? What's the point of me being here? And then finally she's like, I'm going to go. I'm just going to go, which I love that she makes the choice to be like, if I stay with you, I'm going to die. Right. And I love you, but I'm just going to go. Eddie and Jake have been coming to me in my dreams, and I think they're telling me it's time to go too. And the way that she can go is because they're traveling through the snowlands, and then they come across a plowed road with a little cottage, and it's the
perfect little picturesque.
It's the witch's cottage from Hansel and Gretel because it's like made of candy, but it's not. And they're like, "Yeah, does that look a little storybook to you?" And Roland's like, "I don't even know what you're talking about."
This is just where Roland lives.
He's like, "Okay, here we are now."
Like Midworld and all the other worlds are just like in the never-ending story. They're just like ideas that people had about stories that get added to the collective subconscious. Yeah. And they pop into existence in Midworld.
Well, the funniest part about this is it's Oz.
So for Roland, I think this feels very contrived, but a lot of things in Roland's entire life are, to us, contrived narrative situations. But for Roland, this is how the world works.
Right. And they do end up going to the Crimson King's castle. I skipped that part. But it's really just to be like, he's not here anymore. He left for the Dark Tower.
Yeah. And he killed most of the people.
Yeah, he killed everybody and then he left. Except this one guy who's like, I have food and sweaters. And Susanna's like, oh God, I would kill someone for a sweater right now. And then they just have to stand there and have a conversation. Because this guy's like, I'm a shapeshifter. And it turns out it's all glamour. And it's just this nasty old dude.
Oh, and they're trying to get him to cross the bridge, right?
Yeah. And finally they're like,
we have baskets of food, like actual meat.
Yeah.
Not long pork. Long pork.
Yeah. Which I know long pork from the Double Dead. He uses because remember they come across those cannibals in the Walmart?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, this scene was okay. It was fine. I didn't really understand the point. But you know what? That's okay. The whole second half is really just a winding down.
Yeah. I feel like this was just to convey to Roland that the Crimson King's castle, not something you need to bother with.
Yeah. Whatever. It's fine. It's done. You don't even need to be here anymore. It's really like the Crimson King isn't even your problem, really. Or at least isn't right now, because he's all the way at the tower. So another reason for you to just continue along to the tower. But Roland knew he was at the tower because he kept saying, I think the Crimson King is in the tower, but I think he's stuck out on a balcony. Right. I don't know how I know it, but I know it. And it turns out he's correct. But they end up on Odds Lane. And I mention this because I'm like 89 to 92% sure this is a dig on Dean Koontz.
The storied rivalry between Dean Koontz and Stephen King.
or whatever it is, because Odd is one of his characters. It's one of his series characters.
Yeah.
Notably played by Anton Yelchin in the only movie ever made based on the Odd book series.
Yeah.
But what an odd thing. I mean, he includes it because it ends up being Dandelo, but he could have made it anything, so he didn't have to make it Odd. So it feels a little bit like
Yeah.
doink. And this ends up being like an emotional vampire guy who does a really bad stand-up comedy skit.
Probably about 80% through the whole Dandelo, was it Collins?
Yeah.
Joe Collins. I started picturing Joe Collins as the emotional vampire from What We Do in the Shadows TV show.
Okay.
Doing bad stand-up and just like purposely failing every punchline and doing like the cheesy like head bop thing.
Yeah.
But then everybody's still
laughing,
entertained.
Yeah. It's like when he goes to the city council meeting and he pulls out the 3-inch thick stack of note cards.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Thank you for letting me speak today." And then he just starts talking. He's like, and he does the
afterward. He's like vibrating.
That's exactly what it was. This was such a whatever moment. I like that Suzanne is like, "Wow, this guy's not even really that funny," and Roland is so into this, but then he does have a really terrible sense of humor. Like that's her thought. She's like, "This isn't weird. Roland doesn't know what's actually funny because he's so bad at telling jokes."
Yeah.
And she only gets out of it because she slaps her own face.
Yeah.
And she breaks open her sore.
Yep.
And she goes to the bathroom, and Stephen King has left her a note in the bathroom
that has Deus Ex Machina written on it.
Yeah. That's why I was like, he's not even pretending anymore. He's just like, this is the only way I can get this character out of here. So, here you go.
The first time we had like an in-lore explanation where Stephen King is kind of talking when Stephen King's under hypnosis.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh yeah, I get male privileges once." And he writes that note and swallows it.
Yeah.
And ends up going to Jake. Did he get male privileges
maybe
again?
In this one he just wrote it into it. Or maybe it's like once per book. Or he just wrote this note into the story.
Yeah.
Because then she flips it over and it's like, "You didn't think about it, you naughty girl. Go back and try again." And then she's like, "Oh, right, it's Dandelo, Odds Lane. Oh, okay." And then she comes out and kills Dandelo.
Yep.
And then they're like, "Wait a minute, what's in the basement?" And that's where they find Patrick Danville, who's been in the basement for who knows how long.
Right.
And had his tongue ripped out.
He's anywhere between a teenager or 30.
Yeah, no way to know.
Yep.
And they end up giving him a drawing pad and pencils. And he's really fucking good at it. And Oi gets a moment to cheer up. Like he gets a buddy again for a little bit. So he gets his last couple of good days.
Yeah, with a more innocent character.
Yeah. And it was fine. He is a Deus Ex Machina. That's what Patrick Danville is.
Yeah.
Because Patrick Danville can undo any part of the plot that Stephen King doesn't like. So, okay, good for him. And that's how Susanna ends up getting out. She figures it out finally.
Mm-hmm.
He's drawing her. And she's like, oh my God, I get it. I paint what I see. Like, I do what I see. No more twins. So she's like, "Oh, God, I fucking get it. He's the artist. He can remove my sore because that is me. He is drawing me. So he can take away the parts of me that I don't want anymore." And so she gives him an eraser because all the erasers have been cut off the pencils.
Right, because Joe Collins knew what Danville could do with the erasers.
And it's a good loop. This was I was like, oh, okay. The drawing of the 3.
Yeah.
Oh, you're literally drawing me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I was like, okay, Steve, I see what you did there. That was a good moment. I was like, okay, I really like, he wrote the drawing of the three like 30 years like before he wrote this. So for him to loop back.
What a long time to wait for like
a payoff.
punchline.
Did he know it was coming is the real question.
Or did he realize, oh, I could do this?
Yeah. It says Patrick was drawing her. Nor was this the first time she had been drawn. Roland had drawn her to his world with magic. Eddie had drawn her to himself with love, as had Jake. Dear God, had she been here so long and been through so much without knowing what Katet was, what it meant? Katet was family. Katet was love.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, it's really sad. And they end up, he draws the unfound door.
Yep.
And then she goes through it. She's like, look, Roland, because in her dreams, they keep telling her, like, he's got to be there alone. He's the only one who can go in the tower.
I liked the description of Susanna describing the door and the symbols, and how as she's sketching out the symbols that have to be on it, she's not even looking at what she's drawn.
Yeah.
Because she just needs to do it. She knowing that if she like criticizes or critiques what she drew, she will find problems. Like she'll have false positives of things that need to get fixed, and she'll end up ruining it.
Yeah.
And many times on projects, DIY projects, whatever, I know that if I do too much like self-observation of what I'm doing, I'll just fuck it up.
Yeah. Well, you can't overwork it. You just got to let it happen.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, Roland, I'm leaving. And he does not want her to go because he's already lost too much.
Right. And this is one of the few moments of weakness that we get from Roland.
This is the most the last probably 10% of the book is the most emotional Roland has been since he was going crazy because Jake was both alive and dead in his head. She goes, you always did have your own glamour, don't you? Always did. You drew Eddie onto one death and Jake to a pair of them. Now Patrick and even the bumbler. Are you happy? No, he said. She saw he truly was not, and she believed she had never seen such sadness and such loneliness on a human face. Never was I farther from happy, Susanna of New York. Will you change your mind and stay? Will thee come the last little while with me? That would make me happy. And she's like, well, that's really great, but I'm leaving. And when she finally goes through the door, this was the part that I was like, I like it, but I don't like it. I like it, but I don't like it, which was Susanna gets Eddie and Jake back.
Yeah.
Because she travels through to a world where Eddie is waiting for her. And he's been dreaming of her because in his mind, it's the same way that Roland was dreaming of Jake and Jake was dreaming of Roland.
Yeah.
Because he died but did not die. And so to put the two timelines together, she has to travel to him. And so he's waiting there for her. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, well, let me go get my brother. And she's like, oh, great, Henry. No one likes Henry.
Yeah.
Henry gets no redemption arc. Fuck Henry. It's Jake. Jake is his brother. And this is when Stephen King is like, they probably will even get a dog who's a little bit maybe not a dog and name it Oi.
With extra yellow eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. So they get a happy ending. They get their happy ending.
Yeah, because the beams are healing.
Yeah. And I liked it because I liked knowing that they get to be back together again. But also, they're not the same people.
Right?
Although Susanna says, I get to know Eddie again. We get to fall in love again.
Yep.
And which is great, but it's also like if you died and I was like, well, I guess Chris will do.
Chris and I are not the same person.
Right. And so neither are these Eddies. Like just because he has the same name on the same base level personality. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
you get the same Eddie without having the same Eddie life experience.
Right.
This Eddie's never gone through the stuff that Eddie went
Right.
through.
This Eddie is not a reformed drug addict.
No. Or
So he
is.
doesn't have that
We don't know.
cynicism.
Yeah. Didn't have the life experience of
Yeah.
what he had to overcome otherwise.
And then the trauma from Henry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what? It's one of those things where you don't look at it too closely.
Yeah.
You're just like, yay, it's like a
That's
snow
why,
globe.
That's why that happened after Stephen King was like, okay, endings are goodbyes.
Yeah.
This ending is only written because I have to write an ending.
Well, no, that
You can stop
happens,
here.
and then he's like, stop here. Stop after the happy ending.
Oh, I thought even the happy ending was after.
No, she goes and meets with Eddie and Jake, and he gets like okay, they're probably going to get a dog named Oi,
Mhm.
and then he's like, stop here. Don't read any further. This is where it ends.
Yeah.
You don't need to know what happened to Roland. I did like this when she goes through the door. It says she goes to kiss Roland before she leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And she says when she inhaled, she took in the breath of 1,000 years and 10,000 miles. And yes, she tasted death, but not for you, gunslinger, she thought. Because we haven't had that in a really long time. We haven't reiterated that, his death, but not for you, gunslinger, in books and books and books.
The last time it got mentioned, I don't remember the last time it got
Right.
mentioned.
See, it's been a while. And then she's gone, and it's just him and Patrick Danville and Oi. And she tries to get Oi to come with her. She's like, come on, Oi, which he would have been back with Jake.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, I can't go. I have one more job.
Mm-hmm.
And Patrick doesn't want to go because he's happy where he is, and he's not sure what life would be like on that side, which is good. They don't go because they save Roland's life.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then Roland takes it out on Oi. He snaps at him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, I'm really sorry, Oi. I didn't mean to yell at you like that. And then later he's like, I would give anything to take that back, to take back that being sharp with him.
Yeah.
Because, of course, he dies. Oi dies. I was like, oh my God, you even killed the dog.
Right.
Because,
Defending fighting off Mordred.
yeah, because at this point, Mordred's sick and dying of a fever,
Mhm.
dying of food poisoning. And this is his last shot to kill Roland. And he knows he can do it because now Roland has nobody to take over watch for him.
Right.
So Roland can't sleep. And he's been pulling the cart, which he's like, of course it's heavier. It's got my grief in it. I pull it along with me everywhere I go, so I do.
Yeah, that line hit pretty hard.
And I was like, oh, God. Okay. And Patrick, of course, is sickly because he's been caged up for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just, rides in the cart and sleeps. And so Roland is basically on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, he's like, I got to fucking sleep or I'm going to die. And so he's like, Patrick, I need you to keep watch.
Yeah, draw this star for me.
Yeah, look up here, draw that, okay? And then wake me up in an hour. Can you wake me up in an hour? And he's like, uh-huh. He can't say anything. He just nods. And Roland's like, he's just nodding. He doesn't know what he's saying. It's whatever. I got to risk it. And then Oi barks to wake him up because Mordred has come to the camp to try to kill everybody. And Oi is the one. But Oi had not been eating.
Right.
Because Oi knew what was coming.
And Oi missed Jake.
And Oi missed everybody.
Yeah.
Oi was too sad. He was ready to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so he
was ready to stay behind with Jake, but Jake had given him instructions.
Yeah. He was going to die beside Jake's grave. That's what Roland figured he'd do. And no, Jake was like, you got one more thing you got to do.
Yeah.
And so he stayed with it for Jake, but it was coming to the end and he was ready to be done.
Yeah.
And so he attacks Mordred and wakes Roland up, and he gives Roland a chance to kill Mordred, but not before Mordred mortally wounds. I couldn't say the word mortally. Mortally wounds Oi.
Yeah.
And we get this one. Oi, Roland said, stretching out his hand, knowing it might be bitten and not caring in the least. He supposed that part of him, and not a small one either, wanted to be bitten. Oi, we all say thank you. I say thank you, Oi. The bumbler did not bite and spoke but one word. Olin, he said. Then he sighed, licked the gunslinger's hand a single time, hung his head down, and died. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because then okay, hang on. I'm going to sip my coffee. Because then they have to dig a grave, and he's like, it didn't take very long. Because...
The body was smaller than the heart within it.
Yeah. God damn it, I almost made it. I was so close. It's because we're getting so close to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Then it's just like it feels like in The Knight's Tale when they pick up with Chaucer. And he's like, what are you doing? Trudging?
Yeah.
What do you mean trudging? Oh, the slow, determined walk of a man who has nothing left but the impulse to simply soldier on.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this feels like, where Roland's like, all right, the tower. And at this point, he's like, fuck the tower. Fuck the tower. God damn it. Fuck it. I'm so sick of this quest.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it. I'm going to see it to the end because what do I have left? Everybody died to get me here. It would be a betrayal of my friends.
He's already saved the world.
Yeah, I just gotta do it. And so they get there and the Crimson King is on the tower and like, okay, Steve, I get it. But also like at this point, you're just like, whatever, it's fine. Because Patrick has to draw the Crimson King.
Right.
Because he realizes, because he's thinking, I could try to kill him. It will be the honorable thing. And then he's like, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to have Patrick do it.
Right. And he's shooting down the things from the air.
The Sneeches, which are still a Harry Potter reference.
Yeah.
And Patrick draws the Crimson King, but it's not quite right. So he has to get a rose for him so he can make red pigment. And he loses another finger.
Yeah.
And it says, don't worry, you'll get it back, the Dark Tower, because the Dark Tower is calling for him and it's overwhelming.
Yes.
He knows that by sunset he'll be unable to resist the call of the tower.
Mm-hmm.
And if he comes out from behind this pyramid, because there's like, it's a wasteland of like pyramids and I imagine like Easter Island heads and just religious.
High narrative density location.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it is. Oh, because it's around the tower, they like eddy around it. And so he makes a red pigment and he makes the Crimson King's eyes red and then he can erase everything but the eyes. And so the only thing that's left are the floating eyes of the Crimson King.
Yep.
And then he's like, great, I'm leaving. And he gives the cart to Patrick and he's like, well, have a great life, Patrick. And Stephen King didn't fucking care. He goes, yeah, I don't know what happened to Patrick. I don't. Bye, Patrick. Like he could be fine. He could not be fine. Who even fucking knows? He just leaves. And then he walks up to the tower. Finally, after all of that, after all the walking he did, after all that we followed him through, for Roland Deschain of Gilead, last of Eld's line, the path ended at the Dark Tower, and that did him fine. And he's like, now comes Roland to the Dark Tower. I have been true, and I still carry the gun of my father, and you will open to my hand. I come in the name of Stephen Deschain. He gives a list. Stephen, Gabriel, Cortland, Cuthbert, Elaine, Jamie, Vanna the Wise, Hax the Cook, David the Hawk, Susan Delgado, Shimi, Per Callahan, Ted Bronigan, Dinky. Why he included those two, I don't know. Aunt Talitha, the lady that gave him the cross earlier. Stephen King, Oi the Brave, Eddie Dean, Susanna Dean, Jake Chambers, and Roland of Gilead, and you will open to me. And then there came the sound of a horn. It simultaneously chilled Patrick's blood and exalted him. The echoes faded into silence. Then perhaps a minute later came a great echoing boom, the sound of a door swinging shut forever. After that came silence. And you can leave it there.
Yep.
That's when we get the thing about Susanna meeting up with Eddie and everybody. And then we come back to what he calls the coda. Found. Parentheses, coda.
Okay.
And it's the last part of the book. And he's like, okay, so I told you to the end. You cannot read the rest now. That's fine. Because what you find out is that he walks into the tower. He goes through his life.
Yeah, there's artifacts from just Roland's life.
Yeah.
Through all the levels of the tower.
And hang on, I'm trying to find the line I liked. Endings are heartless. Ending is just another word for goodbye. He's like, I only write endings because For the same reason I put on pants in the morning, and it's because that's just how society wants you to write a story.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the difference between, to me, the difference between a writer and a storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get, Save the Cat, which is a book that gives you the 10% of your book should be this, 20% of your book should be that.
It gives you formulas.
It's a formula. It's like every book that you've ever read that you enjoyed followed this formula. Here's the formula. Write the formula and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Even Stephen King wrote his on writing book, which I would like to read just to see what Stephen King says about writing. But to me, the difference between a writer and a storyteller is a storyteller can tell the story without giving excess thought to the marketability of the story.
Yeah.
It's about, I have a story that I need to tell. I'm going to tell it exactly the way it should be told. And it's not about making it have the most mass appeal possible. It's not about fitting in all of the correct tropes. It's not
Fan
about,
service.
It's literally just, I'm going to tell you the story, however, and let the chips fall where they may.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Stephen King can do that because Stephen King is Stephen King.
Right. And he, I've heard it described as fuck you money. Stephen King has fuck you money.
Yeah.
He has enough money that if he says, here's my story, and the editors, whatever, or say, no, you need to redo this part, he can just say, fuck you.
Yeah.
This is what I wrote.
It brings
Publish
me back to Jodorowsky, though.
Jodorowsky is kind of, it's a spectrum.
Or Werner Herzog, and
Yeah.
Werner Herzog, who now has an Instagram, by the way. And I just love that somebody was like, Werner, he did a thing where he's like frying a steak and he's talking about why he has an Instagram now. And he's like, I just felt called to be on here so that I can share my perspective with the world or whatever. And he's just like frying a steak on a fire and he's just standing there. And then the first couple of videos are like how to forge a filming permit. And yes, I do teach people lockpicking because.
Oh, yeah. He does like filmmaker education.
Yeah. Like guerrilla filmmaker.
He trains
shit.
people, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it also brings me back to my Jodorowsky, which the Jodorowsky documentary was impactful for me, not just because it talked about how he wanted to make Dune, but because I got to meet Jodorowsky through the documentary. And that, okay, so when he holds up the money and he's like, for what? For this?
You make it for this paper?
You want me to make art for this? This is it. This is what I'm supposed to aspire to. These fucking pieces of paper. This is bullshit. And he like throws it and he's like, that's it. That's nothing. That's pieces of paper. It's nothing. That's not why you make art.
Yeah.
I felt that in my soul. And I think as Americans, we've probably talked about this on plenty of other podcasts, but we ascribe to the time is money philosophy because we all often earn an
The
hourly
Protestant
wage.
work ethic.
Yeah, because you work and then you're compensated for your work. And, my time is money. I know the approximate value of my time because that's what I get paid 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day or however long you work. And so we start to equate the time put into something with the reward we expect out of it. And I think that has had so much harm, has done so much harm to like the creative psyche of the American people, of any culture, any Western culture where we value time as a means of profit.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at like stonecutters from like the cathedrals, you go and look at the giant Baroque, the high Renaissance cathedrals where you have these soaring flying buttresses and every single one of these stones is hand cut. They were not working for an hourly wage. They were just, that was their job. They were compensated based on the job. It wasn't like okay, I'm coming in, I'm putting in 8 hours and then I'm leaving.
Yeah.
It was, I will take the time it takes to do the thing that needs to be done. And you could really sink into the work and create something beautiful because you were not focused on the clock. You were focused on the product, on the journey through the product and the product itself. And I think and of course, This isn't me being like, everyone should just take their time and do whatever. You got to make money. You got to eat. We live in a society that forces you into that. So you can't escape it. But in your own personal life, it's like, okay, so it's like AI, right? AI feels like the ultimate expression of the way that we view creativity, which is product entirely. So it's not about, I can type in a prompt and AI will create a pleasing picture and I could shit post it and get a bunch of likes.
Mm-hmm.
And that would feel like success to a lot of people.
Brandon Sanderson did a video about talking about AI, and he's like, he was talking about his process working with an artist to create the sketchbook art for Shalon.
Well, let me finish my full thought here.
And he would never call himself
the artist. Right.
He's an art director.
He's like, I described this thing to them. I had them produce it. I made notes and had them go back and do it again until the final product was what I wanted, but I was never the artist. I was at most the artistic director.
Yeah.
So AI allows people to create this product instantaneously,
without developing the skill.
Is the ultimate goal. It is the ultimate goal of the way that we have structured creativity in Western culture, which is I don't have to learn the skill. I don't have to put the effort into the thing. I don't have to go through the process of being bad at it. I can simply create it and be done. And that is
it's all outcome based.
I put no time into it. And so it has the highest possible value for me.
It's efficient. Personally.
And okay, but also you have robbed that of all humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Did it take Stephen King 30 years to write this series? Hell yeah, because
50.
At the very end, yeah.
I guess
34
he
years.
Finished it.
Because the very last line is, the man in black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed, which is the first line of the book. Yeah. And then it says June 19th, 1970 to April 7th, 2004.
Yeah.
So it took him 34 years to write this. That's why it's good, because there is so much Stephen King in these books, sometimes quite literally.
Yeah.
Right? And he put himself in this book, and you can tell. I feel like if you are the type of person who enjoys the craftsmanship of a thing, you can tell when the artist is in the thing and when the thing is just a product.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen King does occasionally write stories that are just product.
Right.
And he does occasionally write stories that are, I think, a lot of him in there, a lot of craftsmanship for him, especially his later things. He goes through a period where he's very much about the craft of doing the thing and about being a writer. And then he goes through a period where he's writing, knowing full well everything he writes is going to get made into a TV show or a movie.
He's doing commissions.
Right. And then he goes back to, I'm going to write, he gets to fuck you money again.
Yeah.
He gets to, I'm so poor, it doesn't matter what I write. And then he goes through his period of success, and then he gets to, I'm so rich, it doesn't matter what I write. It's the bookends of his career. And I think that's really that's the thing is when we think of the product as a thing that makes money, the constraints are so much higher. The room for experimentation is so much lower. That's where we are with movies right now. They all need to make money, so you can't be experimental. You have to make a thing that will make money. And so I don't remember how I got there, but that's usually my soapbox. And here I am again, which is when you take experimentation, the availability or the freedom to experiment away from the artist, everyone suffers.
Mm-hmm.
When you take it away from a movie maker, a scriptwriter, a cinematographer, all of that, everyone suffers. When you take it away from a writer, everyone suffers. When you take it away from an artist, like a media of, drawing or pottery or whatever, everyone suffers because no one is pushing anything forward. No one is trying anything new.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we are as a culture because we want predictability. We want high value with low effort. And so we get these low quality but churned out products. And you get so used to seeing those. I get so used to reading them because I read them for other podcasts that we do that when I get to this book and I read it, I have such a hangover from this book. I was really struggling to go on and read things that I need to read for other podcasts because I was like, nothing is going to match the high of reading Dark Tower 7, The Dark Tower. So now that I've pontificated for a while about that, again, this was a controversial ending. People loved or hated it.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about it?
I thought it was a great ending.
I thought it was a great ending.
It doesn't give all the closure,
I didn't want closure.
but it completes the story.
Right. And how did it's New Game Plus, where he gets to start over in a new save with some experience.
We got him reminiscing about a bunch of different things. And he's mentioned several times that he did not pick up the horn.
Yeah.
When he lost it, like on the battlefield with Elaine and Cuthbert. But then after he walks through the final door at the top of the tower,
yeah,
and he's out following the man in black again, he has the horn with him.
So he gets to change something.
So I have ideas like, does it add a level to the tower every time Roland cycles through? How much does he get to change? Is it just like the oldest regret or the most significant regret that he gets to change? We don't need to get into the mechanics of it. It's a nice, I saw a thing about writing fan fiction and like an imaginary exchange between a fan fiction writer and a fan fiction reader.
Yeah.
And the reader says, "Oh man, I really like this story. I really like your fan fiction." And then the writer says, "Thanks, it has pockets." And then someone else replies, "The pockets are the plot holes." But that's where, or like in the original story,
that's where creativity lies.
That fan fiction goes into the plot holes of fiction, and it's those pockets are where your readers get to play with their imagination inside of this world that you built.
Right.
And so we don't need closure on every single detail.
No, because it gives you stuff to talk about.
Right. And this completes Roland's story.
Yeah. Why is the Dark Tower focused solely on Roland? Why is every room in the Dark Tower his life?
Right.
Because it's his life for the Crimson King, too, because the Crimson King trashes a couple of the rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Crimson King goes in there, it's all about Roland.
Yeah.
So why? Is Roland...
What is it about Roland?
Right. Is Roland something like Gan? Or...
Is Roland like Stephen King?
Yeah.
As like an agent of purpose?
Or is he purpose? Is he purpose?
So this reminded me, there's an Alan Watts book called The Taboo Against Knowing Yourself.
Okay.
I haven't read a lot of Alan Watts books. I've listened to audio of Alan Watts a lot, and I've read this one book, The Taboo Against Knowing Yourself, and he talks about this kind of Eastern religion, mysticism, mythology, whatever. One particular idea that is standing out in the context of what is Roland is that the idea of the universe as like a large conscious thing can only know itself by experiencing the universe from another perspective.
Okay.
And so there's this theme in a lot of Eastern culture, religions, of the deity, like being born into a human body with no memories.
Right.
And then it lives a life as a regular person. And then at the end, wakes back up into its like full godhood.
Yeah.
But now with a like first person lived experience of what it's like to live in this universe as a regular person.
Right.
And it's only through that constraint of perspective that you can get real knowledge.
Yeah. We are the universe figuring itself out.
Yes, we are the universe experiencing itself.
Yeah.
And is Roland some type of like constrained godhood on a journey, kind of a spiraling
Over and
journey
over and over
exploring itself?
Yeah. Which is why he's like, oh no, not again.
Yeah.
Because he opens the door and he's like, no, not again. And you're like, oh, okay, so this is not even the first go around.
Right.
It kind of feels like the bowl of petunias. If we knew
In
why,
Hitchhiker's Guide to
if
the
we knew why
Galaxy.
it had said that, we would know more about the universe than we know now.
Yep.
That's what it felt like. But I liked it. You're right. I was with you. I didn't feel like I can see how this was controversial if you're the type of person that wants an ending, a concrete ending.
And wants all the details and mechanics explained.
Also, if you're the kind of person that doesn't like it when characters die, this was not your book.
Mm-hmm.
This was so not your book. No, not even a little bit. It kind of reminded me, and I said this in the first part, and I'll say it again, of the ending of Forever Night. And that was also super controversial.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know any other way it could have ended. I really like the ending. I like it, sort of. I like it because it's an ending. And they at least gave us an ending.
Right.
And Stephen King didn't have to give us an end to this. He could have just continued on after the Dark Tower forever.
Yeah, he could have written more Roland stories after Roland ascends the tower, but then you have to like give a bunch of details about the tower and what Roland is doing next and
what is actually in the tower and who's actually at the top
and the why.
Yeah.
And once you have a like canon explanation of the why, the foundation, the reason it's there, you've undermined
Right.
the whole thing because
I didn't want it observed.
there's hard fantasy and Brandon Sanderson was on a panel with some people discussing hard magic versus soft magic.
Okay.
And he leans really heavy into hard magic.
Yeah, where it's all very
Where-
codified.
Yeah, it's like rules of physics.
Right.
But like Lord of the Rings is soft magic because it's never explained in detail how the magic works mechanistically. It's just there to like seasoning in
Yeah.
the pot. And the Dark Tower series is very soft magic. We don't explain. We get a few rules here and there,
Right.
like with the unfound door when
The Manny.
when the Manny were explaining how the door works, right? We got some mechanisms there that like you have to keep in mind where you want to go and like there's rules in this situation, but then there's other places where you just go.
Right.
You just do the thing and Roland's interaction with Ka is a very soft magic kind of thing
Yeah.
because it's there to serve the plot.
And it leaves you open to, if you go back and reread it, you can reinterpret the world now through the point of view of this is a cycle that Roland goes through. Like when he meets the demons or he meets any supernatural creature,
Mm-hmm.
it could be like tech debt from previous iterations where every time he goes back and starts over again, it's not great at completely wiping the slate clean.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have things that are stuck swirling the drain with him, but aren't aware or are aware and can't tell him. It kind of reminded me of in The Matrix, where we get the first Matrix movie and it feels
Mhm.
very straightforward. And then as we continue in the Matrix world, you meet those creatures that are left over from previous versions of the Matrix, where the robots or the things programming the Matrix couldn't tell the difference between fantasy and reality. So they thought all these things needed to be in there. And then as time goes on, they realized that those were just a figment of imagination. And so they didn't quite thoroughly remove them.
Right.
And so you have like ghosts and other type characters because they thought you needed them. And so that's kind of what it feels like, is like these are left over from previous versions of Roland's story.
Yeah.
Where maybe he may not be the only thing that changes. The world may be subtly different each time.
Yeah.
He may be going through different worlds where he's literally starting over at the beginning of a different world, and it may shift which one is the Keystone world and which one is the Roland's world, because he's like, go now, there are other worlds than these. So maybe he himself is what creates all the new worlds.
Yeah.
And so that type of speculation is possible because of how open we left the ending.
Yep.
And if we'd gotten a concrete ending, it would have just been over. And I'll admit, I generally don't like to read to the end of series because very rarely does an author fully stick the landing on the series. And I hate it when the end of a series ruins the rest of the story. This did not. It literally made me feel like, wow, I wish I hadn't given away my copy of The Gunslinger. Like, I wish I could just pick The Gunslinger up and start over at the beginning now. Because I want to go back and skip Wizard and Glass, but read the rest of it so that I can review it through the lens of, okay, this isn't even Roland's first time. Because Susanna has that moment where she's talking about him and she's like, wow, he just keeps knowing more. Every time I think I've gotten the limit of Roland, there's more Roland.
So Roland's relationship with Ka is deeper than anybody else's.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all deja vu.
That's what I'm saying. The parts where he knows stuff and they're like, how do you know it? And he's like, I don't know, I just do.
Yeah.
It's tech debt. It's stuff they can't quite erase each time.
Yeah.
And so it's literally New Game Plus because he starts back over at the beginning of his save, but gets to keep some of his experience.
Yeah.
And gets new equipment. He gets a special item for having started a New Game Plus. And then he gets to go through it again. And each time he does, the chances of success grow greater because his experience is greater.
Yeah.
But all of that, and he's not even a smart character, which I just love desperately. The fact that he's like, I'm not a smart man. I'm just a very stubborn man. I'm literally so stubborn. I will iterate the journey to the Dark Tower as many times as it takes. What would success look like? Nobody dying?
So on one hand, this fits a model of like, karmic cycles where you're trying to end up like achieving some kind of perfection. But that particular idea gets shut down a lot in the kind of like the deeper analysis of those religions that have this idea is, okay, yes, conceptually, ostensibly, you're on these cycles to like achieve perfection, but perfection isn't the point.
Right. Journey before destination.
Yeah. And so to say, oh, like eventually Roland will have a perfect playthrough.
A perfect playthrough. Yeah.
And then you start thinking, okay, what does that look like? Well, now you're caught up.
Yeah.
And you're attaching yourself to the outcome.
Right.
Rather than the journey.
Okay.
And I think that's counterproductive.
What's the most important step a man can take?
The next one.
Okay. And yeah.
And all a journey really needs is a beginning.
Right. And so I think because he left it the way he left it, we get to have these talks. And so that's the beauty of it. And I know we said that, but I really was impressed. I didn't know that Stephen King could end a book this good. I mean, I've read a lot of Stephen. I feel like Nancy when he's talking to her and she's like, well, I've read like 4 or 5 of them, but he's not that good. And he's like, well, you read 4 or 5. And she's like, oh yeah, touche. Okay. I mean, I like him, obviously. That's why I've read as many as I have. But like, I read Carrie. Is Carrie a great book? Not really. It's fine, but it's different from all of his other books. I really, really liked The Shining because I feel like The Shining, the book, is way better than the movie because I didn't like the movie. I didn't think I was going to like the book. And then I read the book and I was like, oh, because the book and the movie kind of have nothing to do with each other. So, okay, that's great. I love The Stand. I like The Stand miniseries. I don't feel like the ending to The Stand is as satisfying as maybe it could be, but that's fine. But he's very good at like, here's my finite story. Here's my beginning, my middle, and my end. And they're good and they're imaginative and they're different and they talk about balls and shit and piss a lot and that's great. And then we get The Stand.
That's how you know it's real.
Then we get to The Stand. Not The Stand, The Dark Tower. And not only is it his like heart story, I think, but it's so impactful. He puts it in all of his others, most of his other stories too. One of the copies that we had actually in the list at the beginning where it talks about all of his books had in bold all of the books that relate to the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, if I was way more ambitious about Stephen King right now, I'd go back and read all those, but I'm not gonna. And so for him to go from, his usual format to knowing that ending this with a definitive ending would feel cheap.
Yeah.
Was a very smart move on his part.
Yeah. Even
knowing that there was going to be a large subset of his readers who were unhappy with the way it ended.
Yeah.
But that's okay. He says that in this book. He's like, I don't always have I don't have control necessarily. And Stephen's like, or not Stephen, but Roland's like, really though? I kind of feel like you might. Or was it in the previous book where they're talking about it and he's like, well, you made me drop Jake. And he's like, no, I didn't. He's like, but you said you made me drop him. And he's like, yeah, I lied. Yeah. You did it. Anyway.
I just wrote it down.
I'm glad we read this. I'm looking forward to reading that little short story just to see what it has to do with everything else. But I'm glad we finished The Dark Tower. That was really good.
Yeah.
That was really good. And a lot of people that I talk about it, they're like, wow, I made it to like the 3rd one and I didn't make it any farther. And I'm like, this feels like a theme.
Yeah. Like a theme. That was my first run through on the Dark Towers. I think I got to the beginning of book 4. They get off of Blaine and I was like, I'm done.
Right. Well, it's relentless there for a little while.
But I was kind of binging them.
Yeah. Well, because the first 3 are bingeable.
Yeah.
And then you get to the 4th one and it is, and then you're like, oh, more? Okay, I need a break.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, you get one because you get that whole backstory.
Yeah.
And then you come back for Wolves of the Kala. Anyway, it was good. I'm happy. So I think we can just leave it there. What are you reading? Are you reading anything fun right now?
I just read Metamorphosis.
Okay.
By Kafka.
Of course.
I did not know it was a short story.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was a short story. It has a lot of strong themes. I'm glad I read it, so I have some context when it gets brought up. I think it's great as an anchor, like when you're having a discussion with somebody, you can say, okay, like this thing in Metamorphosis, which like you can refer to like a kind of an idea with depth that would take a long time to explain and like convey all the context. But if you're talking to someone who's read it, it can be a good anchor, like as an analogy in another point you're making. I don't think I'll read it again.
Well, sometimes you don't. Somebody asked me if we liked Babel. They were like, didn't you like Babel? And I was like, yeah, I like Babel. And they're like, didn't you say you'd never read it again? I was like, yeah, those are not mutually exclusive concepts. I liked Babel. I would never read Babel again because it's not the type of book. I'm not going to comfort read it another time through.
Right. Am I going to read His Dark Materials again? At some point, yeah.
Am I going to reread The Dark Tower eventually? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Will it be an entirely different experience the second time around? Absolutely, which is the brilliance of the way that it ended, which I know I said I was done talking about, but here we are. I read The Post-Mortal, and I can't say that I'm glad I did. I don't hate read. If I don't like a book, I just put it down. I'm like, fuck it. I don't ascribe to the, if I start a book, I must finish it philosophy. But the premise of Post-Mortal was so compelling, I kept reading it just to see where he was going to go. And you want to talk about an unsatisfying ending. That is how you write an open ending that sucks. That's a good example.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you want to, Stephen King is a male author. And I think that over time, he has gotten better at writing women.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's an understatement.
Maybe not because he had feedback, but just because he's matured and maybe met women that he had a conversation with. I don't believe that the author of Post-Mortal has ever had a conversation with a woman that he didn't expect to end in sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he's ever had a non-transactional relationship with a woman. Ever.
That's the vibe you get from the book.
That is the vibe that I get from the book.
Yeah.
And then I was reading his bio on the back, and he writes for like Maxim and Playboy and all these really masculine, I don't know women in real life magazines.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah.
He's writing for the kinds of men who buy those magazines.
I want someone to take the premise of Post-Mortal and give it to Max Brooks and have Max Brooks write it in the style of World War Z, and then I will read the ever-loving fuck out of that book, okay?
Yeah.
Because the premise was compelling, the execution was shit. I've never disliked the main character as much as I disliked the main character in Post-Mortal. And what it is that the world gets the cure to aging, but not to anything else. You just don't grow old. You still can get cancer. You can still die of whatever. And it's like the repercussions of an immortal population. What would that be like? Immortal and unhealed.
Yeah.
And it was, it was compelling enough that I read the whole thing, but it's not my favorite thing that I've ever read in my whole life. And I just started The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I had started, I got an early,
you got it off of
copy,
NetGalley.
and I started it. And I saw it, I was like, oh, Joe Abercrombie. Everybody's trying to get me to read Joe Abercrombie, like the first Law series. I'm not ready for like a long series to read yet. Here's a new book that may be standalone or whatever. I'll give it a shot, and maybe, I guess, to get an introduction, to get a taste of Joe Abercrombie. And it was a little too playful, optimistic.
It's farcical. It's funny. Yeah.
It felt...
It's a dark comedy.
Yeah. I phrased it to you as it's like the early Dresden File books.
Yeah.
But I was looking for something like Mal's End, Book of the Fallen.
Yeah, you want something dark and heavy.
And so I got maybe like 15% into it.
Yeah.
Into the Devils, and I put it down, and then I went ahead and went through the entire first Law series.
Yeah.
Like all 7 or 8 books. And it was good. It was good. And what I was wondering is, I guess what I was worried about is everybody had compared the first Law series to Mal's End, Book of the Fallen.
Yeah. I hate it when people do that because it sets up my expectations.
Right. And so then I was reading The Devils.
Expectation.
And The Devils was a little too lighthearted. Like,
yeah, you were worried that was also going to be like that.
And I was like, is all of Joe Abercrombie's writing like this?
It would be exhausting if it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Okay.
It's not. The Devils is a big deviation from the first Law series.
I mean, it's good. I like The Devils so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I read it and I was like, Rachel's going to really like these characters.
Well, this reminds me of a point that I wanted to make like way back at the beginning when I was talking about why it's important to have real stakes in a book. And I was thinking about Kate DiCamillo and how good she is at creating real feeling worlds in elementary fiction. Because I think the point that's important to make is it doesn't have to be Malazan Book of the Fallen to have meaning.
Right.
It doesn't. You can inject meaning into any book by creating real characters. That's the art that a storyteller can create.
Right.
And so Kate DiCamillo is a storyteller. And so in her book, like The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, it feels real because everyone that he meets is a real person.
Yeah.
They have real life. One of them dies. It's an elementary school book.
Yeah.
But it's about life. And so she includes death because death and life are intrinsically linked. And you get to go on this really beautiful, poignant, meaningful journey with a ceramic rabbit. So if you read The Dark Tower with us and you're feeling tired and you just need a short book, that's a good one. Don't sleep on elementary fiction. There's a lot of really good writing happening in elementary fiction because it's such an underserved group. It's such an underserved group that it gets published. Like the competition there is a lot lower, so the experimentation is still high.
Stuff that has depth to it gets stuck in elementary fiction because there's no violence, no swearing, no sex, and so. Okay.
Oh, you mean it's for kids? Oh,
right.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
And so some of the stuff in elementary fiction is like a real meaningful, deep story.
Yeah.
But it just got stuck in elementary fiction.
Here's a good example. Jonathan Stroud wrote The Amulet of Samarkand.
Yes.
And The Golem's Eye. It's a trilogy. It's a really great trilogy.
The Bartimaeus
trilogy. It's similar in style and tone to Harry Potter.
Yeah, I'd say it's thematically similar to Harry Potter, but way better.
So much fucking better than Harry Potter, but I think it gets slept on because it's slotted into elementary fiction. And people don't go to, adults are like, I'm not going to go shop in elementary fiction. It's all going to be, Vampirina or whatever. But it's not always the case. He went on to write Lock and Key, which got its own Netflix adaptation. But he also wrote this really good boy wizard series that is as much an exploration of fun magic stuff as it is class consciousness, the ethics of magic, the ethics of elevating magic users simply because of an ability that they have that other people don't. It's really good. It's like if Harry Potter was aware of how elitist it was. So anyway, that's my plug for this particular one. And if you want to know what I mean about how a book that actually has death can feel touching and meaningful and personally effective in a way that a book without it does not, then I highly suggest you pick up The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm also reading the new translation of the Odyssey by Emily Wilson, which is interesting. Isn't
it written as a poem?
It's not written as like an actual rhyming poem with like meter and
A-B,
whatever. But she put some constraints on herself. She didn't want it to be the like elevated flowery language that like the previous English translation was. Like if you get the audiobook that's read by Ian McKellen, that's the like kind of old school British translation of the Odyssey, and it has a lot of very elevated language. The first like 10-15% of this translation of the Odyssey is context and historical background and like linguistic translation considerations.
Okay.
And so much history and talking about like the language and the phrasings that are used in the original Greek is actually like dialects and idioms that were used across a huge geographic region and like over several hundred years. And so there are parts of it that like at the time it was like written down, some of the language of the poem, the epic, was like the local language, the local dialect, but then other sections of it would be in like Greek grammar from like 200 years earlier. And
So it might be a cobbled together collection of stories.
That's one of the reasons it's really hard to date it.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff in there that's like, oh, this is a very particular dialect to like 700 BC. But then this other section is a very particular dialect from a different region from like 900 BC.
Gotcha.
But all of it is in very casual Greek language. It's not in the like what we would consider the high speech.
Yeah, the high speech.
It's not in like Shakespearean version of Greek. And so she wanted her poem to have the same kind of casual tone to it. So I've been reading it and it's way more accessible.
Oh, I bet it's way better.
And another constraint she gave, because the like old school British translation ends up being much longer than the original poem because it's in this kind of flowery language, but then it's also explaining some ideas, and it has to add extra context to cover that.
Yeah.
And so you end up having a longer story. But her translation is the same number of lines as the original.
Okay.
And so far, I like it.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I did see a reel or whatever, and it was, guys, stop it. Just fucking stop it. And it was a picture of like a Barnes and Noble display. And you know how they'll have a theme, whatever, and then they'll have books below it that are all related to the theme.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was performative summer reading.
Ooh.
And it was like all of the types of books that you want to be seen to be reading.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think a lot. Because that's a big thing, I think, I don't do book talk. I don't do Bookstagram. I just share what I share when I share it, and I don't worry, because at the beginning I did try to participate in a lot of the book space community stuff because I felt like I was going to need that for the podcast, like that was going to be advertising for the podcast. And then I realized that the vast majority of people I was interacting with were insufferable, and I just couldn't stand to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because for a variety of reasons. But one of the things that I just don't like is the tribalism of it.
Yeah, the clickiness.
The clickiness. And there is a very, like any other tribe, you define your own morality.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the tenets that I can't stand is that it's important to be seen to be reading the right things.
Yeah.
And so that felt like, okay. And so you're talking about reading the Odyssey, but you're reading the Odyssey because you genuinely enjoy the story. And it's a thing that you're really interested in.
Oh, yeah. This isn't like performative, masculine, traditional.
You don't want to be, it's not about being seen to be reading the correct thing.
Right.
And that's another soapbox that I'm not going to get on right now. But I think the most important thing is that we mean it when we say at the very end, just love what you love, like the things you like.
I feel I'm building up to like another wave of reading, and when I'm in like the headspace for reading, I'm not reading just one or two books.
Yeah.
So I
usually have an audiobook, a Kindle book, and a paper book.
Okay.
Going at any given time.
These are all print. Oh, I guess I'm like halfway through Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner.
Yeah, so that's your physical book.
Well, that's I have the physical book, but I've been listening to the audiobook too.
Okay.
Well, I started on the physical book, and then
That's another series we started and we needed to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm reading it so we can talk about it
Yeah.
for the podcast. But then I'm also reading, I picked back up the Licanius trilogy. That's the first book is The Shadow of What Was Lost.
Oh, yeah.
And then...
By Islington, right?
Yeah, James Islington.
Yeah.
And so I bought book 3 because I'd remembered reading, I think I started book 2, and I thought I had finished book 2 because I had a good 6 months where I wasn't really reading anything.
You navigated away from it.
Yeah.
You closed the tab.
That wave of reading passed.
Yeah.
And I put it away and forgot that I didn't finish book 2, and then I saw book 3 was on sale on Kindle for like $3 or something. So I was like, oh, right. I want to finish that series because I really, really like at the end of book 1, we get the reveal that this.
Don't reveal it.
Oh yeah. I know. There's I've mentioned I've mentioned this particular
to me, I think
twist,
you've only talked to me
the twist
about
that
it.
happened. I've mentioned it on the podcast a few times.
Yeah.
Without attaching it to this particular
Yeah,
book.
it's twisty.
But
it's
it has a really
twist.
satisfying twist at the end that adds a lot of depth to the antagonist.
Makes you want to go back and start at the beginning again.
And so I was reading the story so far section in book 3, and I realized, wait, I didn't finish book 2. So I'm reading book 2, and what else did I just read something short on Libby that was good.
Well, I'm reading The Devils in hardback. I have the book, and then my Kindle book right now is Direbound.
Victory's Greater Than Death.
And then I am listening to A Court of Wings and Ruin. If you want to know why I'm at just like a low C at all times, ready to pontificate about the importance of craftsmanship, that's why. So,
okay. Here's a performative. Here's a book that feels performative to mention. I'm about halfway through this. Utopian and dystopian explorations of pandemics and ecological breakdown.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. I think that's probably a good place to leave it.
Yeah, I think that's all the books on my plate at the moment.
Oh, excellent.
So remember, sometimes the strangest things are the most beautiful too.
So be who you are and love what you love and read whatever you fucking want to read. Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Bye.